My mother stood over my 5-year-old sister while she hung from the gymnastics rings, blood dripping from her palms, screaming, "Olympic champions don't cry!" That was the first time I realized love could sound like rage. I stood in the doorway, too young to understand the anatomy of cruelty, but old enough to recognize silence as survival. My sister's sobs cracked through the air like broken glass. I remember thinking, this is what winning costs. That memory buried itself somewhere deep. Years later, it would become the seed of my revenge. When people met my mother, they saw Grace, the suburban saint, the woman who hosted charity galas and smiled through her lies. She had a voice that could convince anyone that cruelty was discipline, that control was love. And for a long time, I believed her. I was her masterpiece, the golden child who followed every rule, the polished proof that her methods worked. Until I learned the truth about the rings, the bruises, the lies she'd whispered into my sister's ears long after the blood dried. When I left for college, I promised myself one thing. But promises are fragile things. They shatter when you least expect them. The call came on a Thursday. My sister, Lena, was in the hospital. Attempted suicide. I drove 6 hours through rain so heavy it drowned the world. When I walked into her room, she looked like a ghost wrapped in hospital linen. Her wrists were bandaged, her voice barely there. She said, "I failed her," Lena whispered. "Even now." She said, "I failed her." Our mother had called her after a gymnastics meet. Lena had placed second. Second wasn't good enough. It never was. That was the moment something in me shifted. The same calm she once taught me to use for precision on the beam, I turned it inward. Focus. Breathe. Plan. Revenge doesn't begin with fury. It begins with patience. I started by listening, watching, collecting. My mother had remarried a man named Daniel, a retired banker with a soft jaw and too much trust. Together they ran a charity for underprivileged athletes. A front, I discovered, for siphoning donations into her private accounts. She was still performing her perfection, smiling for cameras, preaching about discipline and sacrifice. I wondered how many little girls she'd broken in the name of greatness. So I began to build the stage for her final act. I volunteered at her charity under a fake name. I played the devoted assistant, the quiet helper who fetched her coffee, arranged her events, and listened. God, did she love to talk. She didn't recognize me at first. 10 years had changed me. When she finally did, she froze. But I smiled and said, "You always told me not to run from family." Her eyes flickered with something between pride and suspicion. I saw it then. The fear that maybe her perfect creation had grown teeth. It took 3 months to gather everything I needed. Bank statements, donor lists, false receipts. I fed copies to the right people, a journalist, a government auditor, her new husband, and then I waited. The morning it all broke, she called me. Her voice was brittle, furious. "You did this," she hissed. I let the silence stretch until she couldn't stand it. "Lena tried to die because of you," I said. "You broke her. You broke us. This is me returning the favor." She tried to hang up, but I kept speaking. Calm, cold, precise. "Do you remember the rings?" I asked. "The blood? The way you screamed that Olympic champions don't cry?" She didn't answer. I heard her breath catch. "I'm not crying," I said. "I'm winning." The fallout came fast. Her charity was exposed as a fraud. Daniel filed for divorce. The donors vanished. The press hounded her. Every smile she'd ever practiced turned against her. But I wasn't finished. The final act wasn't public. It was personal. I went to see her. She was sitting in the dark of her empty living room, surrounded by boxes and unpaid bills. The trophies she'd polished for decades were gone, sold, or confiscated. She looked smaller than I remembered. "You think this makes you better than me?" she whispered. "No," I said, "just free." She laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You always were weak." I stepped closer, placed a photograph on the table. It was of Lena, smiling again, standing on a beach with her hands open to the wind. No rings, no blood. "She's stronger than you ever were," I said. Her eyes flicked to the picture. For a moment, her mask cracked. Just a tremor, but I saw it, the collapse behind her stare. That was enough. I walked out as the sun began to rise, light spilling across the driveway like the start of something clean. People talk about revenge like it poisons you. Maybe they're right, but some poison is medicine when taken in the right dose. I didn't destroy her out of hate. I destroyed her to end the cycle, to cut the chain she'd wrapped around us since the day she screamed that